everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to my second ever labour and birth vlog. So my little girl is 2 weeks old tomorrow and she is currently in that very clingy stage where she does not want to be put down. So I am going to have to film this with her, and also I need to leave the house in like 25 minutes, so I need to make sure that I don't waffle on because I am very good at waffling on. So basically, my name is Sophie if you are new here. This is baby number 2 for me, and I achieved my Vbac birth yeah, nearly 2 weeks ago now, so 2 weeks tomorrow. So I just thought I would film my birth and labour vlog. It'll be very similar to my last one, because to be honest I just don't get a lot of footage personally when I'm actually in labour, and yeah, I thought this time it'd be different. I thought I'd remember to get my camera out, and it just, as soon as I hit like 5, 6, 7 centimeters dilated, that is it for me. I am just a goner. Like, I just can't think of anything other than staying in the position that I'm in at the time. So there's only a little bit of footage, so I just thought what I'll do is I'll speak through the labour and then I will just add little bits of footage here and there from obviously what I got throughout the day. But basically I woke up on Tuesday morning with really weird tightenings. So they were happening like every hour, literally just 1 an hour, but they were like nothing I've ever felt before. So they weren't Braxton Hicks, and to me they weren't like contractions, because my contractions with my little boy were all in my back. These were in my tummy, and they literally felt like they were squeezing my bladder, and I just needed a wee. So I literally was getting up for a wee every hour from like 3 AM. And then as the morning progressed, I thought to myself, I'm still getting these like tightenings, they're still quite painful, but I wasn't fully having to breathe through them yet. Anyway, obviously had to get my little boy up for breakfast, getting ready for nursery. Took him to nursery, had one in the car, got out, and I thought I would avoid having one, and he wouldn't walk into nursery. I had to carry him. So I had one whilst carrying him, and I was thinking, right, I definitely actually think that this is it now. So I downloaded an app to time my contractions. I downloaded the Freya app, which was $2.99, and I literally used it for like 6 hours. Anyway, so I went home. They were still very sporadic. I'll take a screenshot and put it on the screen, but they were like between 7 and 15 minutes apart, then some were like 3 minutes apart. They were only 20 seconds long. But as time was going on, they were getting more and more intense, and that's what made me think that actually I do think this could be it. I'd not lost my plug by this point. Obviously my waters hadn't gone, anything like that. And I will add that I was 39 weeks and 5 days, so she was 2 days early. So I just started cleaning, because I thought, if this is it, I want to come home to a clean house. So I literally swept the kitchen floor, mopped the kitchen floor, I cleaned my little boy's playroom, got on my hands and knees and putting all his toys away. I was like rubbing bits off the floor with baby wipes, and then that's when I was a bit like, right, these are actually getting more and more intense now, and I was having to literally stop what I was doing and breathe through them. And weirdly, I'd actually booked a C-section the day before for the following Thursday, which was her due date, and I just think that made me relax. So I went to, so I had my pre-op assessment at 2 PM on the Tuesday, so I knew I was going to hospital anyway. That's why I didn't like rush into anything or panic, because I just thought, right, it was about 11 o'clock at this point, and I was just like, right, I've got 3 hours until I need to be at the hospital. Obviously if things start getting really bad then I will go, but I'm going in 3 hours anyway. Got to about 12 and I thought, I can't drive, even though again they were still only like between probably 6 and 10 minutes apart by this point. I was like, it's a 25-minute journey maximum. If I have 3 of these, it's gonna be really difficult. So I asked my mum if she was free, and I just said, will you take me to my pre-op assessment, because I think I'm in labour but I'm not actually sure. And it was just one, because I just feel like you actually don't know sometimes if you're actually properly in labour, because the following week to this I was having Braxton Hicks all the time. I was having false labour starts, like I was having contractions for like 5 hours and then they'd just stop. So I didn't want to like A, get my hopes up, and B, tell like my husband that, right, I'm definitely in labour, let's go to hospital, because I didn't actually know if they would just stop altogether. So it got to like 12:30, I had some lunch. This was the last thing I ate as well. I had a cheese and Branston pickle sandwich toasty thing. So guys, this is a bit of a strange start to a labour vlog, or what I think is going to be a labour vlog. So it is 7 minutes past 1 on the 18th of October. I am due in 2 days, and 17 minutes past 1? No, 7 minutes past 1. And so I've just been in the shower, so the camera's steaming up a bit. I've just got out of the shower and I've been contracting since about 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock this morning. They were sort of every half an hour, maybe every hour. I just kept getting this feeling when I was in bed, and then as I got up they were sort of coming like every 15-20 minutes, and they are now every 6 to 10 minutes. So they are slowly getting closer together and they are getting more and more intense. They are absolutely just not nice at all. But weirdly, I have booked a C-section for Thursday, which is my due date in 2 days. I wanted to book one for next week because I don't want to be induced and I don't want to go over 41 weeks. So I've booked a section and it was the only date they could do, this Thursday, and I just said yes because I thought I'm fed up. I was contracting Sunday night and they tailed off, but it was only for like 4 hours. Well, obviously now if it's 10 past 1, I mean, it's been a good 6-7 hours that I've been contracting for. So I'm actually going to the hospital at 2 o'clock, which is in 50 minutes, for my pre-op assessment. So what I'm going to do is just ask them if they can examine me and tell me if I'm dilated at all, or if they think anything is going on. Obviously they are, like I say, they are getting more and more close together and they are getting more and more intense. I think I'm about to have one right now. Yeah, I think I'm having one right now. Oh my god. So the last 3 have been between 7 and 8 minutes apart. So they are definitely getting closer together and they are getting longer as well. So my mum's going to take me because I don't want to drive and have that situation happen. I'm going to put my labour bag in her car. I'm going to take my labour handbag that's got all my bits in, because they literally might tell me not to come home. And if they do, then I'll have to ring Josh and just say, look Josh, you need to leave work right now and get here. I've already warned him, like he knows that literally I could ring him like this. If they get close together while I'm on the way to the hospital, like if they start becoming like 5 minutes, and obviously I'm going to ring him anyway and just say, look, I really think that you need to cancel your next few clients because I am 100% in labour. Like this can't stop, surely. Like they are the worst they've ever been. Like I say, I was contracting Sunday night, but it's just so weird because between contractions I feel like you forget the pain. Like now I feel fine and I'm like, oh, it's probably not happening, but 2 minutes ago that was absolutely excruciating. So I'm just gonna get dressed, put a little bit of fake tan on my face, just brighten myself up. I might even put a little bit of makeup on in the car while my mum's driving, just to sort of distract me and just make me feel a little bit better. And yeah, I'm going to go for this pre-op assessment. So this will either be the start of my planned section labour vlog, or it will be a part of my VBAC, hopeful VBAC labour vlog. But I am, if they say to me that I'm not dilated or anything and they want to send me home, I am just going to say, is there any chance that we can move this section to next week? But they did tell me that they've got no space, like literally the only slot they've got is this week. That's why I've booked it. But I don't know, we're just going to have to see, aren't we, guys? Then my mum picked me up, and by this point they were literally getting to like 5 minutes apart. So in the car on the way to the hospital, I probably had 3 or 4 contractions, and I proper did have to breathe through them. Got to the hospital, my mum was parking up, so I just went in on my own. In the waiting room I had probably 3 more, so I obviously just went into the antenatal day unit where women just have like routine scans and checkups, and then I was stood in there having full-blown contractions. Anyway, I got called through about 2:25 because they were quite late. And I just said to her, I do actually think I'm in labour. But she did my pre-op assessment anyway. She took my bloods, she weighed me, she did all that, and then she saw me have like 2 contractions in the room. She went and got another lady, and this lady was like, right, you think you're in labour? She was quite rude actually, I'm not gonna lie, and I've come across her before and she was rude before. And I said yeah, and she was like, right, well, it's pointless us doing all about it, so we might as well send you up to I can't remember what you call it now, is it like labour triage? We might as well send you up there, because if you are in labour then you're going to be staying up there anyway. So I was like, right, that's fine. So the nice lady took me up there, and again I was having a contraction in the lift. Got up there. At this point I told my mum they're just going to check me over, see what's happening. Obviously text my husband, said the same. Still don't know if I'm in labour at this point. I probably thought that I definitely was, but I still didn't want to like get my hopes up, because I don't know, like things can just change so quickly when you're in labour. So I went up to triage. They popped me on the monitor for 20-30 minutes to check my, obviously, baby's heart rate and then just contractions. And at this point, again, still didn't know if I was in labour, but they were getting worse. So I obviously text Josh and I just said, I still don't know if I'm in labour. They've not actually come to look at the monitor, but I've seen obviously like the heart rate thing going up and down. Text my mum as well, just updating her saying not been told anything yet. So this was about 3 PM. They told me at 3:30 that I was 2 to 3 centimetres dilated, so I was like, right, so I definitely am in labour. But they kind of just left me, because obviously 2 to 3 centimetres is not a lot, and because I wasn't like screaming or mooing or anything, I was just breathing through them. I think they just thought that I'd be fine, but honestly as soon as they left that room, I was stood up. I had no clothes on, because obviously she examined me with her fingers to see how dilated I was. And then honestly that was it. They were literally coming every 2 minutes. It was the worst thing ever. By this point Josh said he was on his way. I text my mum saying Josh is going to come meet you in the car park, get my suitcase, because my mum couldn't come in. If my mum had come into triage, Josh would not have been allowed in, so that's why my mum waited in the car park. So by the time Josh got there, it was 4 PM, and I said to Josh, I need to push. And I just panicked. I just had this sense of like, what the hell is going on? Why does my body need to push? I literally got here like 2 hours ago. And in that 2 hours, it was very quick. Like it felt like I'd been there for 20 minutes. So Josh went and got the ladies and just said, she said she needs to push. So they examined me and I was 7 centimetres dilated. So that was like an hour after being 2 centimetres. So they quickly just kept me on the bed, threw loads of towels on me, got me straight onto the labour ward. Obviously Josh just texted my mum saying, right, this is it, you can obviously go home, blah blah blah, because I only wanted Josh as my birth partner. And yeah, it just really went from there. So by the time I got wheeled into the room and met my midwife and stuff, it just got really intense. And I asked Josh to take some pictures of me because I had no pictures of myself in labour with my little boy, and I really wanted some, but they weren't that great because I was naked on the bed and I was just not in. I just get into my own little zone where I just don't want to speak to anyone, and I just want to hold his hand and squeeze it when I'm having a contraction, and that's it. I can't think of anything. I forgot that I even brought this camera with me to film. But yeah, anyway, then she obviously checked me over, my midwife, and I was fully dilated by about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Obviously part of me was like, oh, this is amazing, I'm gonna have a baby soon, but part of me was like, why has this happened so quick? Like, I felt really panicked by it because I was just like, my little boy was not like that. Like, I was in labour for a long time, well, 24 hours. So I was just a bit like, wow, I can't believe this is happening, I'm fully dilated. So it was just sort of that transition of tried to break my water. So she left me for an hour to see if my body would naturally break my own waters, and they wouldn't. So by 5 p.m. she was like, in fact, was it about 5, half 5? She was like, right, I'm going to break your waters for you, because your membrane is so thick that they are just not breaking. And obviously, I know some babies are born in the waters, but nothing was really progressing. Like, I was pushing, but I wasn't actively pushing. I was just, with every contraction, my body just pushed. So she broke my waters, and then we left it half an hour, which I think then was about 6 p.m, and we just actively started pushing, and it was a long slog. So I was on my side with my legs like open, upright and open, because that's what they say. I just felt like I could not get in any other position. So I pushed for about half an hour in that position. The midwife said, right, Sophie, please just move for me. So I got on the floor into a squatted position, and I probably did 5 or 6 pushes in that position. I also had a poo, which is great, and I just felt like nothing was happening. But obviously I think a bit of gravity then helped bring her down better. Got back on the bed. I just said I don't want to actively push again, like I just need a break. So I just breathed through my contractions, let my body just sort of breathe and push her down. And then we started actively pushing again. By this point, my midwife was off shift at 7, and she was trying to stay because she really wanted the baby to be born. Obviously she wanted to see it, so she stayed till about 7:30, and she didn't come, so she obviously left. And then the other midwife took over, bless her, and she was like, please update me, please let me know what happens, please let me know when this baby comes. They were both so good, they were both just so motivating and just telling you can do it. And then it got to like, obviously I don't really know the timings, but I'm just guessing from when she was actually born, probably just 8 o'clock, and I just said, I'm absolutely exhausted, like I literally cannot do this anymore. I'd been pushing for nearly 2 hours, and obviously she wasn't coming, but she kept saying I can see her head, but then it'd go back in, and she was like, I can see her head, she's nearly here, she's nearly here, and then nothing would happen. So she went and got the doctor, obviously just said to the doctor, Sophie's absolutely exhausted, she literally cannot do this anymore. I was holding on to the bed, I was pushing with everything I had, and it just was not happening. So the doctor decided to make the decision to do an episiotomy cut and use ventouse to just help that head just come out slightly. I think forceps, they use forceps when the head's a bit further up and they have to like actually go in and grab it. But because the head was so close, they just wanted to put the ventouse on her head and then pull her out. By this point I asked for a C-section because I'd had one anyway, so I just thought, well, I'd rather have another C-section scar than have a cut vagina. But he said that she was too far down the birth canal and it would be very, very dangerous because he would have to pull her back out. So he was like, it's just not really an option. So I said, obviously that's fine, just do it, just finish it. So they wanted to see me push, the doctors. So I was thinking, oh my god, I've got to do this again. So with my next contraction I pushed, and the midwife was like, Sophie, I think you're going to do this without the doctor's help, like she is so close. And of course I didn't, she just went back in. And then yeah, so they put the anaesthetic in, they gave me a small cut, which obviously I couldn't feel a thing, I didn't actually know they'd done it. Then they put the ventouse on baby's head and they just said to me, right, with your next contraction, I don't want you to do anything, we're just going to pull her. So they pulled her head out, and then with my next contraction then I pushed her body out, and then that was it. They had passed her to me. She was crying, I was crying, Josh was crying, I think the midwife maybe even cried a little bit, and it was just such a big relief. Obviously I've never given birth vaginally before, so just that relief of like the body coming out of my body, it just felt amazing. Like I can't, well, it's probably like pushing out a really big poo. Like the relief that you get from it is just unreal. And if you're watching this and you've obviously given birth vaginally before, then you will know. But as soon as that body came out, I just felt so emotional because I just felt it come out, and it just felt amazing. And then obviously she was crying, which was really nice because my little boy never cried. He got taken away when I had my emergency section, so it was all a bit, it was just very emotional. And then they obviously stitched me up, which took a long time, not gonna lie. Again, you can feel a bit of tugging and a bit of pulling. It wasn't very nice, to be honest. And then we just kind of got left in our little baby bubble. So we got left for maybe 2 or 3 hours in the room, just because they were so busy, the ward that I was on at Barnsley Hospital, that the midwife literally just did not even have time to come in and sort of take me up to the ward. So I had to stay overnight just because I'd lost a bit of blood. More, I think I lost 25 millilitres over like the cut-off point, which obviously isn't a lot, but that's their cut-off point, so I had to stay over. So I think I went up to labour, I went up to the ward at about midnight. I was the last one on that ward. I think they then actually had to shut the whole ward because they just had no space left. And I got into this room, obviously it was dark, and there was just babies crying, there was women snoring. I literally got no sleep whatsoever. I reckon I slept 20 minutes. She slept the whole time in the little crib. I even had to put my headphones in at one point, which I felt really bad because I thought if she's sick I'm not going to hear her, but I could not stand it. All I could hear was baby crying and women snoring. It was like a mix of like awful noises, and I just really did not like it. So I put my headphones in and actually listened to my labour playlist, which is funny because I never listened to it in labour. So when I'm in labour, I just forget everything that I've brought to help myself. So I forgot that I had sweets that could have given me energy. I forgot that I had Lucozade Sport, which could have given me energy. I forgot that I had a playlist with headphones that could have, I say calmed me down. I was probably quite calm. I'm not much of a screamer, I'm more of a mooer. So I do make noises towards the end, but I don't scream or anything like that. But I just forget all these things that I've brought to help me along, because I'm just so in the zone and so I just can't think of anything else. Hence why there's not much footage of the birth. So that is pretty much my birth and labour vlog. Again, I apologise for it not being an actual labour vlog, but like I say, if you've never been in labour, then I guess you don't realise how intense it can be and how your mind just isn't on something. And then also, if you manage to film your labour vlogs, then I take my hat off to you, because I just forget what I'm actually doing. I forget that I've got that in my head. I wanted to film it. So yeah, it's more of a talking labour vlog. But yeah, I achieved my Vbac and I'm so happy for that. I will tag my preparing for a Vbac video in the description box, and I will also tag my birth vlog for my little boy, which obviously was an emergency C-section birth vlog. So I will tag that in the description box below if you want to watch that, if you've not seen it before, or if you're obviously new to my channel and you've never come across me before. But yeah, this is Indie Blossom. She was £7 13 ounces. She was born at 8:21 p.m. I really wanted her to be born at 8:22 because my little boy was born at 5:22. but she missed it by a minute. I mean, she could have missed it by 5 seconds, I'm not really sure, but the midwife said to me that it was 8:21 when she was born. But things were happening that fast. Me and my husband was talking about this yesterday, that at one point we actually thought she could have been born at 17:22, like my little boy. I remember looking at the clock and it was like 4:37 and I was fully dilated, and that's when I was thinking, oh my god, imagine if she came at the same time as Casper. But she didn't. She was a few hours after that. So all in all, I was in hospital. From getting into the hospital and giving birth, I was there for 6 hours. I was in active labour for, I would say, 6 hours. I wouldn't really class being at home as active labour. It was more of just that like early stages of labour, just delayed contractions, spread out, but just getting more and more intense. So yeah, it was a quick one for me. I know people and women give birth a lot quicker than that, but for me that was quick, because with my little boy it was not that quick at all. I will add that I got induced with my little boy, and she obviously was a spontaneous natural labour. She's making those little squeaky noises. But yeah, anyway, I will leave it there. If you have any questions on VBAC births and delivery, please do let me know, and I will try to answer them as quickly and as helpful as possible. I was also in a VBAC group on Facebook. I think it was called Vbac Delivery UK or something like that. Again, I will tag that in the description box below. So it was a Facebook group on Facebook, and it was just full of like positive Vbac stories, or just people asking questions in general and for help, and just asking things like that. I never accepted any sweeps, and in that Vbac group they are very against sweeps and induction. So yeah, I rejected sweeps because my consultant did say I could start having them from 38 weeks, and I just said no. So I didn't have any sweeps booked in, but obviously I did actually book my last minute C-section, and it was a C-section I never got, which I'm really happy about. But also it was quite a traumatic labour, I'm not gonna lie. So I will add a bit of a trigger warning, because I don't know, if someone's had a birth like that before, it might really bring back some bad memories. But I feel like my personality and my husband's personality, or our traits, I don't really know, we try not to see things like that as traumatic. We're both very positive people. We're both very, whatever happens, happens for a reason. I try not to see the bad side of it, and just the good side, the fact that I got a healthy baby out at the end. Like, yes, I was in a lot of pain after birth, and it took me a good, I'd say 10 days to recover. I've only just started feeling like myself now. But I'm going to do another separate video on that. I'm going to do a video on recovering from an episiotomy and vaginal birth. Because I don't want to tag it at the end of this. Like, I just want this to be like my birth and labour vlog. But yeah, I don't know, like, obviously there was a lot of blood. Josh saw a lot of things he probably didn't want to see, but because he's got that mindset, he just didn't panic, and he just stayed there for me. And he, you know, he did say, I can see why some men faint in labour, because he said some of the things that I saw, he said, to me it's nothing. I've worked in sport a long time, I've seen a lot of gory things, he said, but I can imagine why some men who don't like blood would faint in labour. So yeah, I will add a little bit of a trigger warning for that, but it happens to the best of us, unfortunately. I do have a tilted uterus, so I don't know if that's why I do find it hard to push a baby out. I don't know if it makes a difference or not. And also my babies love to lie back to back, which is harder to push a baby out when they're back to back, because they're not putting enough pressure on your cervix. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. I hope if you are wanting a VBAC birth, that this has given you a little bit of inspiration, and just know that you can do it. I just kept saying that to myself. All I was saying in labour was, Sophie, you can do this. Like, people do it every single day. Like, don't give up. But obviously when I'd been pushing for 2 hours, it did get to the point where I was like, I'm actually exhausted. Like, I knew I could have kept going, but honestly I just couldn't be bothered. I knew that she would come out somehow, and I just got to that point where I was like, I just want her out, but I just can't do it anymore, because I've been doing it for 2 hours. But yes, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.